Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
The Nuggets added Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. They just did that this afternoon. Both are on one-year deals. They traded for Cam Johnson. They traded away Michael Porter Jr. and an unprotected first in 2032. And they also traded, which I thought this was a win in my opinion, but they traded for Jonas Valančiūnas. And they only had to give up Saric. It was a player for players trade. So, what's your thoughts? Maybe not all of them at once. Maybe take one or two of these moves and give me your thoughts on the Nuggets.
Well, the last one may actually be the most impactful for the lifeline of the team, is to actually have a backup center.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
that
huge.
Play. Like, the other thing is bonus, and we can get to that. But having Valančiūnas, so you don't have to play Jokic 36, 37 minutes a game in the regular season. And he's held up. He hasn't had injuries. But again, it's nice to give a guy a little time off and not have your team totally fall apart. So to be able to pull that off because of desperation on the Kings' part to get a few extra dollars so that they could sign Dennis Schroeder, I think, it's the less sexy of all of them.
Yeah.
But I think it might be the most impactful for the 82-game season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, all he needs to play is like 15 minutes. 15 to, like, during the regular season, he'll probably play more. But, like, in the playoffs, you just need someone for 15 minutes, like 6 minutes a half. You get to 12. But I think he's played in the playoffs before. He's a really solid player. I think a really good backup center get for the Nuggets. I think that's a total win, and they didn't have to give up any more than somebody they weren't going to play anyway. So let's even just say, like, worst case scenario, you can't play him in the playoffs. Let's just say it comes down to that. You weren't playing Saric in the playoffs anyway, so like it's a win. I just think it's a big win. Yeah,
for sure. And with the other deals, I think you give yourself an extra shooter. Like Westbrook, we talked about, was awesome for their last year. Basically, Bruce Brown is the replacement for that. He's coming back. He's a little older. He had that knee injury. Obviously, hasn't looked as good since he left Denver, but he's a more consistent shooter than Westbrook. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a more consistent shooter. Cam Johnson is a good shooter, really good shooter. So is Porter. But you added a couple guys who are a little more consistent on the shooting, and I think that's that'll help when you get some of those lineups that we saw where they're just leaving guys wide open, and it kind of throws off the spacing. Jokic overcomes it for the most part, but I think that might be a key factor is you got two more guys that'll better space the floor.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brown and Johnson brings a little bit more defense. I mean, neither one of them are like great defenders, but I think both of them are solid defenders. Brown used to be a pretty good defender. I don't know if he will be because of he's a little older with his knee. But Cam Johnson is a solid defender. He's going to be more engaged than Michael Porter Jr. is on all the time. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about his effort, and I think that's a bonus. I think he's going to work very well with Jokic and Murray and Gordon. And yeah, like you said, really the biggest problem was the spacing. Hardaway brings spacing. Brown brings more spacing than Westbrook does. And I think Brown's just, again, he'll be more playable because he's not as, Westbrook was really good for him last year, but, erratic would be the word. He's not as erratic, a little bit more disciplined than Westbrook, and I think that'll work for the Nuggets as well.
Yeah, and, Cam Johnson, decent defender. I mean, probably a slight upgrade from Porter on that. You are right. His awareness is much better. He's probably they both shot about 39% from three. The only disadvantage, and maybe I don't watch enough Nets games, and this is going to sound stupid because I was just listening to Kevin O'Connor, and he maybe watches a different Cam Johnson. But he thought Cam Johnson was much better, like off the dribble, doing stuff with the ball shooter. And I think that, like Michael Porter Jr. is like tough shot express. Like some of those shots he hits because of his height, he kind of bails them out sometimes, especially the bench units. So again, that's not like dooming this trade. It was the only thing I could think of that might be a little different is you lose some of that like bailout. This guy's 6'9", 6'10". He's going to get his shot off, opposed to more of a, I don't want to call him a standstill shooter. Cam Johnson's not just a park the guy, stand there and shoot guy, but I could be wrong on that because apparently Kevin O'Connell thought that, Kevin O'Connor was like, oh, no, he can get in, he can do all this stuff. I'm like, I mean, I watch him when they play the Bucks and a few other times, and that's not the Cam Johnson I watch, but I'll defer to him, I guess, on that one. But that's the only thing I could think of is you might lose a little bit of that mid-range bailout, end of the shot clock, tough shot express.
Yeah, no, I agree. I see the same things you see when Cam Johnson. I think sometimes Kevin O'Connor, he's a good guy. One thing I'll say, I like some of his takes. I don't always like all of his takes. I disagree with him sometimes. I was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about the drive rates for each player, and like per 100% possessions, Cam Johnson will dribble to the basket 11 times. So Michael Porter Jr. was 2 times. So at least they have Johnson will put a little bit more pressure on the rim than Porter would, but it's because of what you said with his length, his ability to make tough shots. It was probably easier for him to do like a step back mid range than to drive the basket. And I think, but I do think that Johnson will just be a little better fit for this team. Just the effort too. I just think that's something that I think even he could be better defensively than he was on the Nets, because I always bring this up, but when you're in a losing situation, defense is all about effort, and when you're always losing, you lose effort. So he might gain some being back on a championship team trying to push for, because the Suns, he was on the Suns when they got to the finals. So my point is, I think some of that will come back. He's not that old, so I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a good move for Denver. They saved some money on it too, like $18 million this year and $18 million next year, whatever. So hopefully they use that and aren't just trying to be cheap, but it gives them some flexibility in theory. It gives you, even if he's not, quote, a better player, an equal lateral move that, he's probably a better shooter. But you can't ask for more for Denver. Like they fixed some of their holes, and you see them kind of going for it.
I agree. Okay, you ready to move on to Houston real quick? We did all our NBA X interviews, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. as one of my trades, so I think I nailed it. I'm pretty sure. I was too lazy to go back and watch it. Now, to be fair, if I didn't say it, we had so many different. It might have been in the Nets one too. I was thinking like to take a shot at Michael Porter Jr. But whatever, nailed it. Okay, let's go to Houston. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.